It's time for the main event. Here comes the breakdown. Act 1, the setup.
Our story begins in Washington, D.C. just 5 days after the end of the Civil War, rather than in a dimly lit attic with an old man and a little boy like we did in the first film. Wait, that sounded creepy. Let me try it again. A young boy was scared by his mustache-sporting grandpa who told him he was old enough to know about his treasure. Yeah, never mind. Anyway, we see the infamous John Wilkes Booth and an associate ask a man named Thomas Gates about the Book of Seacrest. Turns out Ryan Seacrest was a co-conspirator in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. No, I misread that. Book of Secrets, which turns out to be John Wilkes Booth's diary and isn't a book of secrets the movie is named after. Don't worry, we'll get to that 4 hours later in the film. Thomas Gates and his son, who seemed to work in the back of a pub, which I'm guessing is like the 1860s version of a guy working on a screenplay at a Starbucks with a laptop, help the men decipher a puzzle containing a bunch of random letters. He deciphers the puzzle in seconds flat, since the trait of being able to figure out shit no one else on Earth has been able to figure out with hardly any effort has been passed down through the Gates family for generations, I guess. Meanwhile, John Wilkes Booth heads off to turn Lincoln's head into Swiss cheese. Why he decided to get Thomas Gates to look at his diary 20 minutes before assassinating the president is anyone's guess, because the movie sure as hell doesn't explain it. That's the only time that John Wilkes Booth existed. Just that
that hour.
That frame of thing. That's the only time anybody knows that he exists.
I mean, I guess I thought it was like convenience, but still, like, they sort of explain it a way of like he needed to get it translated because he was going on the run, but it was like just get it translated the day before. What the fuck?
Yeah, like you planned this out. You know when you're assassinating the president. Why are you doing this not just now?
This wasn't premeditated. This is spur of the moment. This is passion killing.
I'm gonna get him.
We see the events of that fateful night play out. You know the story. Booth and Lincoln argue over Lincoln heckling the performers on stage before Booth uses a hammer to pound Lincoln in the ass until he died. Oh, wait, no, that's the Whitest Kid You Know sketch. Go look that one up. It's great. He shoots Lincoln from behind in his box seat.
What?
What
You doing, Skinny? What you doing, you fat piece of shit?
He shoots Lincoln from behind in his box seat, jumps off the stage, and says "Sic semper tyrannis," or "Thus always to tyrants," which is short for sic temper evolo. Okay, I feel like I'm going to summon something here. Sic temper evolo mortem tyrannis from Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, which means "Thus always I bring death to tyrants." Since Booth's family were actors, yada yada yada. You know the story. I'm just imagining this happening in modern day, and then like he quotes like a Lord of the Rings quote or something after trying to assassinate the president.
I thought you could say that he starts twerking.
He starts twerking on stage.
Once a drama kid, always an annoying drama kid.
He's like, I got you for real, on God, no cap. You was acting out of pocket.
I'm gonna be goated.
I'm gonna be goated in the sauce.
Quick fact, while examining the lost page of the diary, the historians say that John Wilkes Booth studied Latin because of the writing in the diary and the fact that he said "Sic semper tyrannis" after shooting President Lincoln. Real historians, or screenwriters, should know that John Wilkes Booth, along with his brother and father, were famous actors, and their best-known performance was of William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. In that play, the character of Brutus yells "Sic semper tyrannis" just before the famous slaying in the Senate. John Wilkes Booth always wanted to play Brutus, but his father never let him, instead picking his brother Edwin for the role. It seems that John Wilkes did eventually get to say those famous lines on a stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dreams do come true, man.
Yeah. He even did it with a broken foot or leg or whatever.
Yeah.
Ankle. Yeah. Ankle.
Yeah.
Eat your heart out, Viggo Mortensen.
Just picturing like somebody killing Joe Biden and then jumping on the stage. Oh, my precious.
What's taters?
What's taters, precious? I went to Ford Theater last year, and
we get it. You do cool stuff.
It's a long drop from that booth to the stage booth where Lincoln was shot. So yeah, I think that would have messed you up pretty bad. Did he break his ankle or his leg or
his leg. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
makes
part
sense.
of why they caught him, because he didn't get that far, and then he holed up in like a barn, I think, somewhere.
Yeah.
Like he had to,
Something like
he
that.
couldn't keep running. While this is going on, Thomas managed to decipher the riddle in Booth's diary, which turns out to be a treasure map. Who would have guessed? He spots a pin on Booth's associate's lapel that stands for the Knights of the Golden Circle. Those Kingsman guys? That's what I thought first, but no, it's a different thing.
Nah, it's a clan thing.
Yeah, and the guy, his southern accent, so you should have figured it out.
Yeah.
And the guy blasts the only guy who could figure out the puzzle that could lead these traitors to untold fortune, but not before Thomas rips some pages out of the diary. That fat cousin fucker manages to rescue a page from the fire and then nearly shoots Thomas's son before taking the diary and his sweaty, filthy ass back to whatever shit kicker plantation town he came from while saying, "The war's only just begun. You know, South will rise again."
Hey, we're still saying that to this day.
Hey,
Still
yeah.
waiting on that, but you know.
Yeah, I looked it up, and the Knights of the Golden Circle thing was only like that one person, and all the rest of them were not in the Knights of the Golden Circle.
Sounds
They
about
were all-
right.
They were like working together, but he was the only actual member.
Thomas tells his son the debt that all men must pay, and dies in true Gates fashion, leaving a vague clue for a treasure he just found out about 5 minutes ago, rather than saying, "I love you, son." We cut to the future where we see our hero Benjamin Franklin Gates sporting some dopey-looking glasses, giving a lecture about his great-great-grandpa burning the pages of the Booth diary, which helped stop the Confederacy from discovering a vast treasure of gold. Turns out Thomas Gates is being inducted into some civilian hero hall of fame, but before he can get his golden coffin or whatever, Nick's the Rock nemesis, Ed Harris, a.k.a. Mitch Wilkinson, chimes in from the back of the room asking Ben and his dad Patrick what they think happened to the page that was pulled out of the fire. Ben says the world may never know, but of course this guy just so happens to have that missing page and says it was Thomas Gates who called the meeting in the first place since he was in on the assassination plot. Ben says, "How absurd." Like a Karen complaining about the price of a cantaloupe. But Wilson produces a list of names of men involved in Thomas, and with Thomas Gates' name included, which is somehow enough evidence for the entire world to turn on the guy who just discovered the largest treasure on the planet, containing the lost scrolls of Alexandria with infinite knowledge thought to be completely lost to mankind. Also, why does anybody give a shit? I don't know. That's the premise of this movie, is that apparently his family's name is sullied, but
Yeah.
nobody really cares.
Yeah.
Like, the only person that seems to care is like an 8-year-old kid who he gets into a slap fight verbal screaming match with.
Apparently, the Latin that's next to Thomas Gates' name says Puzzle Master anyway. So it's like not it's they say that it means mastermind.
Just says
but if
mastermind.
you actually translate it, it's like Puzzle Master.
Yeah, that's sort of a theme in this. Like the descriptions that they show you just don't match what
Yeah.
they're actually telling you. They say if you don't speak the language.
Yeah.
Who speaks Latin, dude? Not
John Wilkes
Latinos.
Booth, dude.
I'll tell you what.
Back home, we see Patrick Gates baffled at what a back alley skank his daughter Sway has become. Sorry. You think he talked about Nick Cage with her? And he talked to her with Nick Cage?
Probably. He's a whore, right?
Why does she have to look like that in that movie?
The election was stolen. And
Oh,
Turned into
God.
real life Patrick Gates.
Oh, God. That's going to be the current movie if they ever do the third
Yeah,
one.
that'll be the
He's
next
just going
one.
to be bitching about how the election
80-year-old
was
John
stolen.
Voight out of retirement to fucking bitch about
Oh,
election
God.
fraud.
Back home.
I tweeted it. That means
Is that
it's
what he's
true,
been up to these
Ben.
days? I haven't paid attention.
Oh yeah,
True.
he's
Yeah,
off
he's-
the rails, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Sorry, no, he searches for proof to clear their family's name while his son watches on helpless. Ben decides to turn to the one person who can help, Riley Poole, who lost every cent he had from the first film's treasure when he invested in Dogecoin and FTX stock. Turns out Riley, who helped discover the greatest treasure known to man, wrote a book about the adventure. But I guess 2007 people were more interested in buying the Deathly Hollows at Borders Books than reading the exploits of someone who could have easily been on the cover of every magazine and talk show in the world.
My impression is that he wrote that book and self-published it with his own money. That's
Yeah,
why nobody
that's exactly
wanted
what
to
I
read it.
said. In
At
the,
like one
Yeah.
Borders, and then
Yeah.
Borders closed down a
One
couple years
Borders.
later anyway. So. Riley desperately tries to get someone to stop and look at his book, at his book signing. And when some girl stops, he says the book is about the Templar treasure, but also conspiracy theories, legends, and other myths that are true. And the girl is confused since she thought Ben Gates discovered the treasure. Womp womp. God, we missed you, Riley, you sweet idiot man-child. Somehow Riley is like the least annoying character in this movie. I found. He was the most entertaining one to watch for me.
Yeah,
I want to go that far.
Kind of the first. I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, he's kind of that way in the first one too.
Yeah.
Another girl asks him if he owns a red Ferrari, and Riley says, yes, I do, while making eyes at her. And then she says, it's being towed. We see Riley walking home with a load of unsold books and a cardboard cutout of himself, where he bumps into Ben waiting for him on his steps. Quick fact, the Ferrari which gets impounded in the first few minutes of the movie is a Ferrari F430 Spider. However, at the end of the movie, he is seen in a different car, the Ferrari 360 Spider, which is the same model he drove at the end of National Treasure. Yeah, his other one got impounded and then sold at a police auction.
Yeah,
I guess that is true. Yeah, I guess maybe the president upgraded him.
Yeah, bought him a new one. Riley explains that his accountant offshored his money, which caused him to be fined and audited by the IRS, who took everything, including his Bored Ape NFTs. Apparently, Riley owes the IRS $1 million, so he's definitely going to die in prison. Actually, it's $6 million.
Yeah, you know how many?
Well,
how much taxes
he had
are on
5 million. They took
6 million.
Yeah,
so he owes $1 million. I don't know.
I mean, he said. Yeah, the taxes on $5 million or $6 million. So I'm assuming they took his $6 million and then he owes him another million.
They took his five.
They took his
He
five.
owes
And
him
then he
another
owes a
million.
He
million.
owes him another million. I don't think that's how that works though.
No, but Riley's terrible at money, so he probably
He
probably-
Bored Ape NFTs, dude.
his offshore accountant probably made him a bunch of money, but then he hid it from him because he's an idiot, and then banged him with the tax bill.
Why would you invest in FTX, dude? It just seemed like a bad idea, even before you found out about it.
Riley bought a Tyrannosaurus Rex's skull
And a castle to put it in.
and a castle.
Oh no!
I'll just stick to ferrets next time.
Attack crows. Who can?
Ben lightens the mood by saying Abigail kicked him out, since I'm guessing he couldn't find the treasure she drew on the map at the end of the last film. Says he's living with his dad and his family killed President Lincoln. Again, I just want to stress, they found a treasure worth $10 billion in the first movie.
They're all losers now, except Abigail.
It's that terrible sequel cliche where you got to reset everybody back to nothing in order to have a story and a character arc.
Give them some
Except
stakes
for Abigail.
again. Except for Abigail.
But she's just
Fucking just took all of Ben's money after he discovered the treasure.
Women, am I right?
Women be shopping, right?
Ben and Riley break into a mansion that definitely wasn't the same one they lived in at the end of the first film. Ben explains that he needs Abigail's ID badge so he can examine the booth diary. Riley disables the alarm in seconds flat since he's a technology genius or whatever we established in the first film. Guy can break into literally anything, but lost $5 million 10 minutes after receiving it. Ben explains he and Abigail broke up because they had a few mild arguments, which was good enough reason to dump Indiana Jones' dorky cousin and start dating that one guy from Modern Family. Yeah, he was also played the same character he was in The Incredible Hulk. He was, I guess he was a teacher in that, but he was the same thing. He was
I
like
think
the new
he's
boyfriend.
the same thing in everything, right?
And that douchebag from the remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Was he in that too?
He's different in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's like a straight up douche in that movie.
Yeah.
Ben steals the badge, but Abigail comes home with her new squeeze, and Riley says,
He's weird.
like a 6-year-old. Oh, why is he weird? All he did was invite Abigail to an Easter egg hunt at the White House. Actually, never mind. Inviting an adult to an Easter egg hunt is kind of weird. Sorry, Riley.
You want to come to an Easter egg hunt? 35-year-old woman.
Ben pretends to be picking up some of his things, and Abigail knows he's broken in with Riley's help since the alarm didn't go off. Things get awkward as the White House curator guy asks Abigail out for a second date, and Riley says,
Awkward.
it's always funny, that joke. Always. It's great. Only time that joke has ever actually been funny is when Funnybot said it on South Park after murdering a theater full of people. Hashtag inappropriate.
I always love those jokes because they're so like random and exactly right. Like just an AI like trying to figure out a crude, horrible joke.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fuck her with Oprah's tampon.
Abigail immediately get used to that shit with the writer strike going on with no end in sight. A bunch of AI writing.
Yeah. Just chat GPT writing every show.
How to date this podcast. Abigail immediately asks Ben to hand over her ID badge, but he explains he needs it to see the Booth diary and that they need to look for invisible ink on a page since it contains clues to a treasure. Wait, I feel like I've seen this before. Got a blow on it. She reluctantly agrees to let Ben take a look at the page after he tells her she can have his Boston tea tables, which I'm pretty sure is code for his balls or something.
Yeah, she's gonna blow on his balls. Reveal the treasure. He's got like a tattoo that only shows up with invisible ink.
With lime juice. With lime juice and some sensual blowing.
Dip my Boston tea bags in your harbor.
Oh, shit.
Well, they find nothing on the page, and Riley says, in 100 years, no one will ever remember Ben's family helped murder Lincoln, to which Ben explains that the expression, his name is Mudd, came from Dr. Samuel Mudd, who was accused of being a co-conspirator of the assassination, but was later pardoned, but the phrase stuck around forever. Also, Riley says no one's going to care who helped murder Lincoln 100 years from now, but it's already been over 100 years since Lincoln was murdered, and everybody knows that it was John Wilkes Booth who did it.
I think his point was only John Wilkes Booth will be remembered as the person who killed Lincoln, not the other people involved.
Which is kind of true, because who else was involved?
Exactly.
You don't even know. A quick fact, Ben Gates says that the expression, his name is Mudd, has its origin in Dr. Samuel Mudd, who set John Wilkes Booth's leg and enabled his escape after Abraham Lincoln's assassination, and was thereby taken to be a conspirator. Contrary to common misconception, this expression dates to the 1820s, some 40 years prior to the assassination. Actually, I thought it was because of a Primus song.
My name is Mudd. Not to be accused of
Yeah, man, you sound just like Les Claypool.
Hey, Mudd.
2 seconds later, the page they've been looking at for hours suddenly reveals a bunch of letters on the back side, which Ben figures out is a cipher, so that's convenient. They didn't even do anything to it. He's just like, oh, look, did you see that?
Oh, look, it suddenly showed up.
Super obvious ink all over the page.
I hate that shit. We've been here for hours, and then all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, the shit starts happening.
Hell, the camera wasn't rolling in those other 2 hours.
Look, this is a PG Disney kids film, so making any of this stuff seem like someone older than like a second grader would have a hard time figuring out just isn't in the card, so it's best to just strap on and enjoy the ride.
Strap on.
Or strap in, whatever. Strap on, make it more interesting.
I think strap on's more appropriate.
Yeah. Because it's gonna fuck you.
Just picture Abigail and Ben. You know. Never mind. Just fantasy I had. Modern Family Guy watching in the corner. Riley outside the window.
In a crocodile suit.
Awkward.
Ben makes eye contact with him. Awkward.
He's always a fifth wheel. Riley says they need a 5-letter phrase to figure out the cipher, and Ben seems confident he'll figure it out since he figures out everything like it's nothing. Abigail says she won't be able to stop the announcement of the discovery of the new page, and Ben asks her to wait till he can clear Thomas's name. So, wait, she's in charge of whether the information comes out or not? I'm guessing because she works at the National Archives, and that's where the page ended up, and
seems to me like what happened here is she was promoted and now she's overseeing whatever the hell that thing was at the beginning of the movie, and that's the only reason he's doing a lecture there. So I guess she's in charge of it. Doesn't make any sense.
Just forget about it. Move on. It's the best way to handle everything in this movie.
Yeah, Abigail's in charge of the fucking press conference.
She's drinking everything.
Yeah.
She asks, what if he isn't innocent? While Ben makes a dumb face at her. Sorry, I mean a dumbfounded face. Over at the FBI, we see Sandusky in a cell fapping to Tiger Beat. Oh, wait, sorry, wrong guy. Agent Sandusky from the first film, played by Harvey Keitel, finds out the info about the Booth diary page, and Sandusky wants to know about Wilkinson, the guy whose family had the page for 140 years but never said anything about it until just now. Back with Riley and Ben, Riley is doing stupid things as he's prone to do, while Patrick, Ben's dad, is watching a press conference on MSN.com before checking his Hotmail and jumping over to Netscape to see what he should dig on E-Bombs World. 2007 internet. Patrick laments that they were finally able to hold their heads high after discovering the largest treasure in the history of human existence, but now they're a bunch of crazies again. I'd argue one outweighs the other, but what do I know? Ben passionately defends his ancestors, saying he burned the page to keep Booth's men from finding the treasure, and by God, that's what they're going to force us to watch for the next hour and 40 minutes. Patrick tells Ben the story his grandpa Charles, a little kid who was almost shot in the face in the opening scene, told him. Which is super confusing because that makes him really old.
Yeah, they also...
the timelines really line up.
They screwed up the timeline because in the first movie they said something about like the great-great-great-great-grandfather was the kid from like Thomas Carroll and all that shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this doesn't make any sense timeline-wise.
I just assumed it was Patrick had heard it from his grandfather, who was like the son of the kid from the beginning of the movie, and then it might make sense.
Yeah. I guess 1860. Okay, so that kid was... like 10, I don't know. Let's say, like so he was born in 1850.
Just say 10, just to make it easy.
Yeah. And then let's say 80 years later would be 1930. How old is John Voight is 80 years old, so maybe.
Yeah, he would
work.
Oh, wait, no. John Voight was 70 at the time of making this film.
So but that was John Voight's grandpa, right?
Yeah. So
yeah. It could work.
John Voight, when the hell was he born? 1938.
Okay. So maybe Grandpa was like 100 years old. I don't know.
It could work.
Patrick says Charles' dad told him the debt that all men must pay with his dying breath rather than goodbye, son, or I love you, or you were a mistake, like any normal person would say in that moment. Ben figures out the phrase is the key to the cipher since the debt that all men must pay is death, which is 5 letters.
How convenient.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, right? Instantly. I figured it out. It's almost like the script was written for me.
I mean, to be honest, that's a super easy metaphor.
I know, but still, it's like just those vague letters on the back of half a page led to what did Grandpa say? I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Riley's magic decoder software writes out the word Leboulet, so Ben calls Abigail, who is out on a romantic date with Wilkinson since she really wants to piss off her ex. Turns out she's just letting Wilkinson know that they discovered writing on the back of the page, and he gets concerned that Gates was the one who discovered the writing. Too bad they ended up at that bar rather than Wilkinson's family restaurant. Anyone remember that viral video from Liam Lynch that came out in 2007?
Wilkinson's family restaurant.
Fucking deep dive here.
The witch's teats. Go look it up. It's amazing.
When the hunger's born, try the veggie platter at Wilkinson's family restaurant. At Wilkinson's family restaurant.
Abigail gets a call from Ben who tells her they cracked the cipher, and she out loud repeats La Boule in front of Wilkinson. Abigail figures out the second word in the cipher is lady, so that leads them to the Statue of Liberty, since La Boule was the guy who created it but he referred to the one in Paris as his lady, not the one in New York. Quick fact, Edouard Le Boulay was a French politician who came up with the idea of building the Statue of Liberty, but he was not the designer as suggested in the movie. There doesn't seem any evidence that he was a Mason. He died in 1883, and the replica statue in Paris was unveiled in 1889, so he could hardly have called it his lady. In any case, he was a supporter of the Union cause and wouldn't have helped the Confederates. History doesn't matter in this movie.
So no research done whatsoever on that one.
No. Also, the Statue of Liberty replica that's in the Garden of Luxembourg is in a Garden of Luxembourg, not on the Seine River.
There are two. There's one in Luxembourg and there's the one on the Seine. The one on the Seine is one of the ones that was the original like model that they were like doing the scale up for. I only know that because I was on a tour. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear it. I was on a tour and I saw that statue.
Cool.
And it's like a quarter of the size. It's pretty small, but it's like right at the end of like that big long run in front of the Eiffel Tower. So it's like way up ahead of the Eiffel Tower. But
interesting. I've never been there. I didn't know it was there.
It's very, it's very weird to see it. This
When
is
you
like
saw it,
Statue
were
of
you
Liberty looking, it's looking in the direction of New York. So they're facing each other.
Oh, wow.
The idea.
When you saw that, where you're like, hey, you copied us. We got that in America.
Why are you stealing our shit?
Why are you stealing our
Paris.
freedoms?
We'll stick your Eiffel Tower in Vegas and call it even. Abigail hangs up on Ben to get back to her steamy date with General Hummel, who says his family is descended from Confederate General Albert Pike, and says a man only has one lifetime, but history can remember you forever, which is his entire character motivation from here on out. That's it. It's just a one-note character, kind of mostly. Well, actually, yeah, still. Riley and Ben head to Paris, where we see a tiny helicopter circling the statue, since the one on the Seine is a quarter the size of the one in New York. Some French bicycle cops show up and are slightly perturbed that some dickhead American is flying an RC helicopter around a priceless statue. But Ben diffuses the situation by stroking the French guy's ego over Montesquieu, influencing the American Constitution. These two random cops
Montesquieu?
Give any shit about Montesquieu. Riley's 2007 helicopter with the resolution of a Sega Game Gear somehow zooms in close enough to read some obviously photoshopped letters on the statue's torch that read, "Across the sea, these twins stand resolute to preserve what they are looking for." So I freeze framed on that and looked at it, and I couldn't quite tell the word that seems to be resolute, but it doesn't look anything like what would be translated as resolute. So they just threw that in there so that the rest of this bullshit makes sense for the rest of the plot. It's just
I don't think there's
about
anything on that torch at all. I don't think there's any writing on it.
I doubt there,
yeah. So that thing does say like these two twin women or whatever sisters stand.
It does?
Yeah, the description kind of says the rest of that, but I couldn't find any word in there that looks like it would translate to resolute or anything. But anyway, the movie has to happen. So,
funny fact that I found out while I was researching this is we gave that statue. Well, we didn't, but Americans living in Paris gave that statue to the city of Paris on the 4th of July to celebrate Bastille Day, which is not on the 4th of July.
I mean, it's in July, so it's close.
It is. But we gave it on the 4th of July, which is fucking hilarious.
Happy Independence Day.
All Independence Day should be 4th of July.
America. Anyway, Ben quickly figures out that the clue is referencing the Resolute desk, since that's the only other place anyone ever used the word Resolute in prominence anymore. So, again, he figures out a puzzle in 5 seconds by saying a bunch of random shit out loud, just like in the first movie. He concludes that it must be the Resolute desks, since the HMS Resolute was a British ship that was lost in the Arctic in the 1800s, which was salvaged by American whalers, and Congress sent it back to England. I wonder how they missed finding the Charlotte while they were up there.
Oh, it's just right under like an inch of snow.
Dust that off. Oh, look.
The wood from the ship was used to make the Resolute desks, one of which is in the White House and one is at Buckingham Palace. Ben asks Riley how quickly they can get to Paris, and he says I don't know. Why don't you ask your new best friend in reference to the French cop? Oh, that Riley. The cops called him a cab, which would only cost them a couple €1,000 to go from Paris to London.
I think they were taking him to the train station.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or the
I hope
airport.
so.
Then the French cop writes Riley a ticket for flying his helicopter, and they all just laugh and laugh. I mean, he kind of was flying or
He was. Yeah, I get it.
breaking the law, probably.
Yeah. You fly
doesn't
shit
have to
around
pay
the
that
fucking
thing.
statue. If you flew a
I mean, this
RC
is-
helicopter up the Eiffel Tower without permission, I mean, you're
Yeah.
going to jail, dude.
Quick facts. The wooden plank map hidden within both Resolute desks that leads to the location of Cibola would have been of no use to the Confederacy, as the desks were constructed and delivered between the years 1879 and 1880, some 15 years after the American Civil War concluded and the disbandment of the Confederate States. Similarly, the clues left by Edouard Laboulaye would have been equally of no use, as the earliest models of the Statue of Liberty and all subsequent replicas were all constructed no earlier than 1875, 10 years after the end of the Civil War. This is just nonsense. if you it was driving me nuts, like this movie, the stupid dates and timelines and everything, they're trying to loosely connect it. It just makes no goddamn sense.
They kind of did that in the first movie too. It's like there were like 80 some odd inaccuracies. I just stopped adding them at one point in the first movie.
Yeah, it just seemed particularly egregious in this one, where
It was, yeah.
it's like the shit that Ben comes up with is so out there and completely like how, and it's always right. He never makes a single mistake. All of it is just right off the cuff, and he gets it properly. It's just
He's lucky a lot.
All right, another quick fact. Several desks were made from the dismantled timbers of the HMS Resolute. One of those desks is in the desk sitting in the Oval Office, which has been used by just about every president since Rutherford B. Hayes, who first received it as a gift from Queen Victoria in 1880. However, there is no twin desk that is a replica of the one in the White House, and none of the desks are in Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, they made a lot of furniture from the HMS Resolute, but only one desk like the one that is in the White House. There is no twin of that desk. There are other desks and there are other pieces, but there is no actually like the exact same fucking desk in Buckingham Palace. That's not true.
That's what they want you to think.
That's what you-
We
Ben
cut to
knows, though. He read it in Riley's book.
We cut to Sadusky and his agents, who find out Wilkinson is a trained mercenary who dealt with black market antiquities in Iraq and the Congo, and turns out he only came forward because he needs Ben's help to find a treasure of some kind. So wait, he's a bad guy with a team of goons who are hunting for a treasure that only Ben can lead them to, but Ben is always one step ahead of them until the end of the film when they strong-arm him into leading them straight to the treasure. Where have I seen that before? Over at Patrick's house, we see him naked, covered in Vaseline, watching every Nicolas Cage movie on repeat. Oh, no, wait, that's our Patrick's house, not the movie one. sit there with a guitar, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheeta comes home, you're just naked, covered in Vaseline, with your guitar out.
Patrick gets hit on the head by one of Wilkinson's goons, and they steal Patrick's red Motorola Razr phone. Remember those? Everyone had that phone back then. They cloned the phone using some fancy nondescript movie hacker software that even has like so stupid, like the graphic, like scanning the phone and copying it on the other side. Like, ooh, cloning the phone.
It even says cloning.
Yeah.
It's like a transporter or something, like
Yeah.
beaming it to another area.
And Patrick wakes up with his pants unbuttoned, wondering what the hell just happened. Sorry, just thinking of our Patrick again. Over in London, Ben and Riley make a plan to break into Buckingham Palace, which turns out to be a piece of cake. Terrorists, if you're watching, just follow this plan. It's foolproof.
Jesus. Don't say that we're going to get flagged.
Yeah, this was like after the London bombings and the 9/11 attacks, and they just like
Just walk right in. Yeah.
waltz in and take
Well,
over
they
the
made an
cameras.
appointment.
It did make an appointment. All right.
I was watching it and I was like, man, this would be like if they just walked into the White House and started doing weird shit. Now, well, I guess that happens.
And then they do.
That happens too.
And then they do.
You could just wander right into the Oval Office with no sweat.
There's no cameras or other security or anything anywhere.
Nothing.
Same with Buckingham Palace.
Yeah.
In fact, do they even do tours at Buckingham? Like it felt like it was a really busy, bustling place for.
I don't know because
I've been there and it was always behind gates. You couldn't get in. But I guess they had an appointment. But I guess so did a bunch of other people there for some reason.
There was like tons of tourists in there wandering around.
It seemed like it was a museum or something, but it's not.
It's not at all. And I don't think that you can tour it. But I might be wrong. But I've never seen like a place to buy a tour for it. Though when I was in England, I was only there for a couple days, so it might have been something where something was happening in Buckingham Palace. Maybe they give tours when the Queen's not there, or when Charles is not there, or whatever.
It seems like a really bizarre thing to do because it's still their residence. Like anybody could just like leave poison or something there. Like you feel like it wouldn't be open to the public.
Yeah, you would think.
It's like they don't allow big tours of the White House for the same reason. You can't secure it. Whatever.
Anyway.
Ben gets a call from Patrick while Wilkinson listens in from the Statue of Liberty, the New York one, not the Paris one. Patrick, why is he in New York? Like, is that ever explained?
He got the La Boule clue.
But he went to the wrong.
So he went to the wrong statue.
He
doesn't know that there's one in Paris, man.
Yeah,
right.
That's the one that he referred to as his lady. You see, he didn't figure out the lady part.
Yeah. Patrick tells his son his house was broken into, but it's cool since they didn't take anything. And aside from a cracked skull and a life-altering hematoma, he's fine, so no need to call the cops or be suspicious someone might be listening to their conversation. Also, how does he know they didn't take anything? He's got a bunch of shit in that house. Like, I have no idea they could have taken something.
Like,
I just got assaulted in my own home, but it's fine. Don't call the cops.
Ben, somebody broke in and smashed my skull, but there's no real reason to worry. They didn't take anything.
So stupid.
All right.
It's like they're not on the run from the cops yet, so they have no reason to avoid the police authority. So
call the fucking cops.
Weird.
Call your buddy over at the FBI.
Yep, exactly.
Right. I don't know. Like I'm just thinking from a script writing, you could have just had someone like pickpocket his phone and clone it in a diner or something and put it back in his pocket and not have this weird question.
He's an old man. He would have never noticed anyways.
Yeah. They could have just given him a whole new phone.
Forgets he even has the phone.
Yeah. He doesn't even know how to read a text picture on it. Like
he sent a picture. I don't know where it is inside this thing.
He gets scared every time it rings because he forgets he has it.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
I need a jitterbug.
I better jump on Twitter and see how I should think about this.
Ben tells his dad they're going to Buckingham Palace the next day, and the digital plans on Riley's computer suddenly take over the screen, and we get a quintessential early 2000s CGI camera transition to Buckingham Palace. Ben and Riley enter the palace, where Ben plans to meet up with a curator while Riley takes a dump. Riley uses a bathroom stall to set up a bunch of fancy 2007 looking gadgets, including an early 2000s cell phone and a first generation iPod for some reason that never comes into play. They just had to make sure to get an Apple logo in there a few more times, I guess. You can do anything with an iPod.
Why what possible purpose could that iPod serve in that situation?
Music.
I thought he was gonna like play music over like the loudspeaker or something.
He's got to hear music. He listens to music when he. What did they call it in the social network? When they're
social network.
Yeah, you remember like when they're doing those stupid coding sessions.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna reference baby whatever that baby
driver.
Baby Driver movie. Yeah,
he's like Baby Driver. He's autistic. He needs to hear music to code properly.
Yeah.
Can't concentrate. Balls on you, baby. You got big balls, baby.
Blinded by the balls on that kid.
Lines that did not age well for Kevin Spacey.
Or the guy who played Baby Driver.
Really?
Wait, what happened?
Allegations against Ansel Elgort.
Really?
Yeah. Abuse, I think.
Everybody.
Hollywood.
Ben puts on an earpiece and slathers himself in whiskey, but wouldn't you know it, Abigail just so happens to be visiting Buckingham Palace at exactly the same time. Turns out Patrick told her the next clue was at Buckingham Palace, and I guess she took the red eye from DC to London. Ben tells her now isn't the best time, which she's pretty pissed about since she just flew across the Atlantic Ocean to help him. You guys ready to see Nick go full on Cage? Here we go.
Yeah.
Ben and Abigail argue, and Riley tells Ben they need to make a scene. So Ben yells, well, then fine. If that's what you want, then let's have it out right now. Abigail quickly figures out what's going on since Ben doesn't usually act like a Nicolas Cage character, and they have an all-out shouting match. Nick stomps up and down the stairs doing a Monty Python silly walk while saying,
It's the wrong place! I'm wrong again! Wrong about us! Wrong about Thomas Gates! Wrong that you'd like the Queen Anne chair!
Then he claps like Terrence McDonough and starts grabbing tourists while Abigail yells back at him. An English Bobby shows up and tries to escort them outside, prompting Ben to say, oh, well, now look what you've done. You've brought the little Bobbies down on us, and refuses to leave. He then slides down the banister while saying, wee, and is grabbed by Jason Statham with an alopecia. Doesn't Jason Statham already have alopecia?
He has eyebrows.
Yeah, he has eyebrows.
He asks Ben if he's been drinking, so Ben says,
Hello.
Been drinking, have we?
Just a nip. Just pop down to the pub for a pint. Bit of all right. Going to arrest the man for that?
in a British accent so bad it could be used by Nick in a movie starring Hayden Christensen. Oh, God. Does he do an English accent in that movie?
I think so, yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this is a taste of
horrible. I hope he does, though. Sure hope he does.
Abigail,
Can't wait to watch that movie.
Have it on Blu-ray somewhere. I just got to find it. Abigail notices the device in Ben's ear while he says,
Going to detain a blighter for enjoying his whiskey.
Then Ben just starts screaming random British and Scottish dish names at the guy and then yells about some coconuts at the top of his lungs. Riley chimes in that the insanity that just took place was brilliant while he pinches off one in the bathroom. Abigail and Ben keep arguing as they are. Again, this was 2 years after the London Tube bombings, and this guy's acting like a complete psychopath in Buckingham Palace, and the cops are just sort of like calmly trying to get him to leave instead of tackling his ass, putting a gun to him. Like,
yeah, he would have been out cold at this point.
Yeah. Abigail and Ben keep arguing as they are processed in the Buckingham Palace holding cell. Who knew that was a thing? I mean, I guess makes sense. Gotta have somewhere to take the crazies.
That's where they would put the kids when they were misbehaving.
Take them outside of Buckingham Palace.
Once the Bobbies leave, Abigail asks what the hell's going on, and Ben apologizes for getting her involved, but says that she was excellent at pretend arguing with him. They argue some more about how Ben always assumes he's right, and it drives Abigail crazy. She says when he presumes he's right and turns out to be right, it's because he's lucky, and he says,
I get lucky a lot.
Meanwhile, Riley has hacked the door to the holding cell they're in, and they just waltzed into the Queen's private living area. No sweat. No security, no other cameras. I guess Riley could have hacked the cameras, except he doesn't.
Maybe.
It just shows that, like, you can still watch them on the cameras.
We see later on that they're watching a bunch of cameras, but
yeah,
none
there's
of them
no
are in any
guards.
of the
Like,
places
there's no other armed forces that guarding any of the rooms, including the Queen's private chambers.
Yeah.
Ben decides to take a different tactic with his estranged girlfriend and asks her if she'd like to help. And she says, sure. But then he says, too bad. And she says, I am so coming, which I'm sure she'll be screaming later while Ben says, I get lucky a lot. Riley hacks.
So coming.
Just in case we needed some stupid relationship drama in the middle of this totally boring movie.
They have to start back from scratch. They have to rebuild their entire relationship again.
I mean, their whole relationship started with Cage acting like an asshole to her after kidnapping her, I think.
Yep.
So, yeah. Riley hacks the doors as the two of them make their way into a dumbwaiter. Ben grabs some flowers and we reach Mulder and Scully levels of sexual tension as Ben makes eyes at Abigail and asks if she's wearing the perfume he bought her. And then he says, I think it smells kind of pretty.
You got a pretty mouth.
She does. That's her only redeeming quality.
Jesus.
Not her acting.
And we're canceled.
Then he bats his eyes at her like he's Bugs Bunny trying to seduce Elmer Fudd, and the two of them slip right through to the Resolute desk since Ben is holding flowers and saying, "Oh, the flowers, petals, stamens," in his shitty accent. They figure out how to open the secret compartment in the desk thanks to a stamp on the bottom of it that says Malcolm Gilvery, which leads Riley to Wikipedia, which looked exactly the same in 2007 as it does today. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just beg for money every year. And keep the layout exactly the same.
Yeah. Personally, that's one of my favorite things about Wikipedia is it never changes.
Yeah, same.
No reason to fancy that up.
No.
Simple. Elegant.
Ben finds markings inside the drawers that click into place with numbers like a safe. I don't even know why they need to try different things. Like you could clearly hear them opening as you pull them open. And they only go one direction. It's not like a tumbler. It goes
Nobody ever figured that out for fucking a century.
I mean, I guess
even though
if you don't know it's a combination lock, you have no reason to suspect it is, but you know, whatever.
Probably nobody's actually using that desk. That seems to be a common theme with rich people and people of authority is they just have nice things everywhere that they never actually use because they're never there.
Mm-hmm. Well, they try Queen Victoria's birth year, but it doesn't work. So they try 1876, which was when the torch on the inscription, or which was on the torch inscription, which it opens it right up. It took 30 seconds to open, no sweat. Inside, Ben finds a piece of wood with ancient Mesoamerican writing on it, which makes perfect sense that the British and the Americans would team up to hide a treasure belonging to native people. On brand. They wouldn't hide it. They'd be trying to get it.
Well, they did. So they did hide the location of it.
Yeah.
That's what Mount Rushmore is supposedly it's like.
Why would they hide it? They would just pilfer it.
Well, true. Yeah.
That's one of my questions. Especially that much gold.
It'd be in Fort Knox right now.
Yeah. One of my other questions is, I guess let's get to it. But that much gold would destroy the world economy. So why are they? What are they going to do about it? Anyway, Riley sees.
Keep it hidden.
Yeah, that could be why. Riley sees a guard coming to check on Abigail and Ben. Weird how they just left them in a cage and took off without even having a camera on them or another guard or anything in this apparently fully stocked police station in Buckingham Palace. Or the fact that there weren't any cameras anywhere on the route Ben and Abigail took to the Queen's private living area. But never mind that. Riley sets off the fire alarm and everyone just walks out of the front gate like nothing. Oh, and the guards bust in on a guy taking a dump in search of Riley, which I don't get why the fire alarm goes off and they run to the bathroom, guns drawn.
Well, they know that somebody is hacking stuff because like the security cameras all go wonky and then the alarm goes off and they're like, somebody's doing this. And then they go and search for him and the only stall that's locked is that one where the guy's taking a dump because we needed a joke there.
Act 2, The Conflict.
Outside Buckingham Palace, Wilkinson and his goons are waiting and they follow close behind as Riley gets tangled up with some dogs.
Okay, here we go. Oh. All right, a little bit allergic. Riley, please. Thank you. Okay.
Riley.
See you later. Thank you.
That Riley, God. Wilkinson spots the wooden piece Ben and Abigail found in Riley's hands, thanks to him conveniently just walking backwards, examining it. Ancient, fragile piece of wood, potentially worth a fortune. Yeah, just hand it to the guy who was probably eating Cheetos on the crapper 5 seconds ago. Ben spots Wilkinson and decides to book it. Wilkinson and his men take off after them, prompting a 90-minute car chase. Well, more like 5, but it felt like 90 minutes. I don't know why, but that felt like it took forever to get through that thing.
It felt so long and unneeded.
I just zoned out.
I started checking Twitter, reading John Voight's
I wanted to see what John Voight was up to. It starts with Riley saying he'll drive, but he gets in the wrong side of the car since they're in England. He's just nonstop fun, that Riley.
And luckily, Ben's there to remind us they're in England.
Yeah. We're in England. Awkward.
In case you fell asleep for the last 15 minutes of the movie. Which is understandable if you fell asleep for the last 15 minutes and missed that they're in England.
Yeah. He has to remind Riley later that they're in South Dakota. We're in South Dakota. Wilkinson's men shoot at them, knocking out the windows of their rental car, I'm assuming, right? Like, hopefully Ben paid for the insurance, but no one ever ends up paying for that. Yeah. I bet the devil in Spirit of Vengeance would have gotten that taken care of. Probably would have got it for free.
Get a good deal on it.
He would
have paid a fair price for it. He just would have made sure it was in the contract.
I still can't believe they shot that.
It's my favorite scene in the movie.
This will definitely not be cut from the movie. Let's shoot it. Ben guns the car backwards towards the guys who are shooting at them, and runs over a suitcase belonging to, I shit you not, the same vaguely European guy from The Rock who owned the Hummer that Sean Connery stole.
Yeah. It is, isn't it? It's
the exact same guy.
He's in like a half-second scene of this, a shot of this.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about this on The Rock, but I think there's another movie with Nick Cage that he is also in, another Bruckheimer production. So
yeah, I think he's friends with Bruckheimer, so...
Yeah. He's an investor, probably.
Yeah.
Wilkinson and his men steal his SUV, so this guy just has the worst luck ever. Hey,
who are you?
That's all he gets, really.
That's what he says.
Ben drives the car backwards for a bit, using the backup camera to see where he's going before nearly running over the dogs Riley got tangled up with earlier. One of the dogs licks the camera, and Abigail apologizes to it. And then they just mangle the shit out of that dog with the rear passenger side tire, which was pretty messed up for a Disney movie. They drive through the narrow streets of London, causing as much property damage as humanly possible, while not a single cop takes notice.
No. In one of the most congested cities in the world, with the most amount of CCTV cameras and one of the largest cop presence in Europe.
Not a single cop joins this chase.
At all.
At all. Not once.
Again, you're two years after the tube bombings.
Yep. Quick fact, this is kind of fun. In the car chase scene in London, the stunt driver for Nicolas Cage was actually the Stig from Top Gear.
Awesome.
That's kind of awesome, right?
That's awesome.
I mean, I thought Cage did all of his own stunt driving.
Yeah. What was the point of all those lessons he took for Gone in 60 Seconds?
That's what Javi said in Unbearable Weight. Like, always does his own stunt driving.
I guess probably too expensive to insure him in this case.
Yeah, probably. He's destroying half of London.
And when you get the Stig, you take the Stig.
Yeah, you take the Stig when you get it. Wait, hold on.
Oh God, I flash back to that night in Denver with you guys.
Yeah, just another fantasy I had. Stig. They drive past Big Ben, sideswipe a double-decker bus, crash into a lorry full of kegs, flip a black cab, stop to eat some fish and chips, enjoy a cup of tea. What other cliche British things did they do?
Hit a phone booth.
They took over an impoverished country, stole some antiquities. Oh, sorry.
That's later.
That's later.
Yeah, that's later.
Anyway, Wilkinson calls Abigail's phone and tells Ben he wants what they found at Buckingham Palace, which is kind of convenient that Ben doesn't have a phone in this scene for some reason. Which comes up later when he has a phone, suddenly with a camera on it. Ben gets the bright idea to run a red light, triggering a ticket camera while holding the piece of wood so they can hack the camera later and read the markings, since those cameras are known for having really amazing resolution. So Abigail's camera is broken. He doesn't have a phone, and neither does Riley, the fucking hacking genius, who literally we just saw had a phone and a fucking iPod and shit.
Yeah, but he taped them to the bathroom.
Yeah, he taped them to the toilet. That's right. Anyways, he tosses the wood plank into the Thames, causing Wilkinson and his men to stop, and Ben and Riley and Abigail all get away. One of Wilkinson's men braves the filthy, disgusting brown water of the Thames to fish it out, which I'm guessing was an homage to the first movie of Ben swimming in the Hudson. Anyway, all that ends without one siren. Not a single cop in sight. Must have been a lot of stabbings that day. London's got a lot of stabbings.
There were hooligans about. They were all attending to them.
Back in DC, Ben and his squad arrive at Patrick's with like 20 suitcases that are never mentioned again for some reason. I'm guessing just so Riley can bang them around like Johnny Camerari in Moonstruck for a bit.
Had to have been.
I think that was just for that joke.
Yeah.
Why do they have so many fucking suitcases?
100%.
Patrick can't quite figure out the markings, but knows that they're over 500 years old and identifies the marking for Cibola, which is a mythical lost city of gold. Just a reminder that he zoomed in about 900% on a traffic camera photo and was able to see every detail.
I thought he could only make out one symbol.
Yeah. But he knew it was over 500 years old. Lost City of Gold buried in South Dakota, I'm fine with, but you can't see shit in those traffic camera pictures. There's no way, dude. Not even today.
Yeah.
We join Ben for story time, where he reads to everyone in front of the fire about a Spanish ship that crashed in Florida in the 1500s and a slave from the ship that saved a chief. So they ended up taking him to the lost city of gold. So they took him from Florida to South Dakota?
Yeah. Guess.
Seems like a stretch.
Either that or at some point they moved the city from Florida to South Dakota.
Would they moved
buried
that city, dude?
Under a lake.
Later, this guy tried to find the city, but never could. So maybe they shouldn't have shown it to him in the first place since he turned out to be a real dick. Then Ben says, when Custer died at Little Bighorn in search of gold, it became clear no one would ever find the city. Which, like, I'm not a history major, but Custer's last stand had nothing to do with gold.
What?
In the slightest.
It's the other spin-off they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Custer's Last Stand.
At least try and paint
Custer's
Custer as if he
Revenge.
wasn't a huge pile of shit in everything. Yeah. Patrick ties all this stuff that seems to have nothing to do with Lincoln's assassination together by saying, could you imagine if the Confederates had gotten their hands on the city of gold? Just imagine what it would be like if the Confederacy was in charge. Bunch of evil Southerners holding the rest of us hostage, having to bend to their will rather than have progress, live in fear that our rights might be stripped away one by one. We'd have men in face paint and bison horns walking into the Capitol building with Confederate flags. They'd hoard all the wealth for themselves, and the entire country would come to a grinding halt just because some frog-faced asshole from Kentucky decided he wasn't going to allow people to get the money they need in an economic crisis unless his thoroughbred racehorses were taken care of first. It'd be a nightmare. Ben decides they need to call in reinforcements, and Patrick says absolutely not when he suggests enlisting the services of Ben's mom / Patrick's philologist linguistics professor, way too hot for her age, according to the internet, ex-wife. What is the fascination with Helen Mirren being hot?
Have you
at
seen
70?
how she used to look?
Do you
Yes.
not see how those bad boys were trying to pop out of her shirt?
Yeah.
In this
I was
movie?
like, oh, yeah,
Yes.
in this movie. Yeah, I was like, oh my.
A couple of parts
Had
in
to pause a
the
few
ruins. Yeah.
Yeah. Had to pause the movie.
Just think that somehow young Patrick Gates got with young Helen Mirren somehow.
I
John
don't
Voight was
blame him.
pretty handsome back in
Yeah,
the
I
day.
guess. Look at John Boyd from the Deliverance days. With a pretty mouth.
I'd be
He's a-
attracted to her
he's a
too
dilf.
after seeing those warlocks.
Ben says it's been 32 years since Patrick saw his ex and he can't stand her. We cut to the University of Maryland and a student running out of Ben's mom's office saying,
Hate her.
and Riley decides it's best for everyone if he gives us all a Riley Pool break for a minute and just hangs out in the hallway trying to pick up a statutory rape case.
Is Sandusky's office around here somewhere?
Mom, a.k.a. Emily, is overjoyed to see Ben and Abigail, but stares daggers at Patrick since she probably read his Twitter feed. Then Patrick and Emily have a fun, flirty argument about him losing a toothbrush in Marrakesh or some shit before Ben interrupts them with the way too clear to be a traffic light picture of the wood carving. She's
They enhanced
upset.
it.
Yeah, they enhanced it. 900%.
Enhance.
Enhance. She's upset that this might be for some other silly treasure hunt. Again, they found the greatest fucking treasure imaginable in the history of mankind.
And his mom is a historian, linguist, archaeologist, whatever.
It would have opened up so many things just for her, for her studies.
Yeah.
Let alone the whole world. She reads the glyphs while scowling at Patrick, which reads, "Find the noble bird, let him take you by the hand and give you passage to the sacred temple." She giggles her ass off when she realizes they think it's a treasure map to Cibola, since these hapless idiots couldn't possibly discover a mythical treasure no one thinks exists.
She didn't watch the first movie. It's not her fault.
Yeah, she didn't watch the first movie. I bet Ellen Mirren would never watch this movie. Either one of these movies. Then Patrick and Emily argue some more about how she used to like hunting for treasure with him and how much she loved his treasure trail, which really perked up his noble bird before she gave him passage to her sacred temple.
How can you turn anything dirty? That's your superpower.
Yeah. Emily tells them they only have half of the map and blames Patrick for it, since that no good asshole left his daughter behind when she needed him most, which caused her to do a bunch of sleazy softcore porn films and eventually marry Billy Bob Thornton. She's still sore about that,
I would be too.
I would be too.
It creeps me out so much.
Ben knows the other half of the map is in the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, and his dad is confused as to why he didn't tell him that information. So Ben says,
Because obviously you have a tendency to overreact.
That whole preceding scene is where I checked the clock for the first time and saw I still had over half the movie to watch.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I kept checking my phone.
I think the first time I checked was 24 minutes in.
It's like when they're arguing about toothbrushes in Marrakesh, I was like, what fucking hour and 15 minutes left of this movie?
Yeah. It's like the new Batman movie where I was like, there's an hour and 45 minutes left?
Yeah, I've tried twice to watch that movie and I can't get through it. I just stop.
Haters.
Just turn it into a TV series at this point. Jesus. They apologize to each other and Ben says they need to head back to DC. We cut to Wilkinson's Family Restaurant. Sorry. I could not get that out of my head the whole time I was watching this with Wilkinson's name popping up every 5 seconds.
We feast on meats, the witch's teats.
We cut to Wilkinson and his men strong-arming the guy who runs the Civilian Hall of Fame thing from the beginning of the film into translating the wooden inscriptions. But of course, he says there's like one person on the entire planet who can read that. He tells them they don't have the whole thing, and then some handicapped guy who cuts his own hair says,
There's more to the map?
might have been the same guy Walter asked.
One of the goons. One of his goons.
Oh. He's like, there's more to the map. It's just so stupid.
Yeah.
Generic bald guy goon. I don't know. Yeah. He might have been the same guy that Walter asked, Officer, my cat is stuck up in the tree. Can you shoot it down for me?
Ossifer.
Oh, God.
Grand Isle.
Yeah.
So he might have been the same goon that died in the first movie that we all
might have been
supposed to care about.
I mean, who would even know, dude?
Yeah. Bring him back for the sequel.
Bring it back from the dead. Abigail, Ben, Patrick, and Riley formulate a plan to get into the Oval Office, and coincidentally, the Easter egg hunt mentioned by the Modern Family Guy earlier in the film just so happens to be happening the next day. Wait, so you're telling me there's an event open to invited guests in an exclusive government building, and they can only get in thanks to access given to them by someone who works there in order to sneak into an ultra-secure location that's normally impossible to reach? I swear I've seen this somewhere before. Over at the White House, two childless weirdos decide to invite themselves to an Easter egg hunt. where Ben argues with a little kid about his great-great-grandpa killing Lincoln while he's dressed like Matlock for some reason.
Dressed like Terrence McDonough from Bad Lieutenant. He's got the same suit on and the same hairstyle.
Yeah.
Probably doing heroin, too.
Yeah, probably. Ben and a 9-year-old get into a shouting match about conspiracy theories, and Ben says,
"Okay, run along now, you impossible child. Run along."
So the kid makes a weird finger gesture at him and runs away. I'm guessing that kid had The Shining, you know. Good evening, Mrs. Dorrance.
So Cage gives the finger hand of God back to him and then smacks him to death.
I'd pay good money to see that. Connor, a.k.a. Ty Burrell, isn't stoked Abigail came with Ben. But when Abigail goads Connor into showing them the Oval Office, he's more than happy to show off in front of the dude he's hoping to cuck. I mean best, sorry.
Oh, fuck.
They head to the Oval Office as Ben says,
Connor rocks.
sarcastically. And inside, Connor educates them that there is a twin of the Resolute desk in Buckingham Palace. Abigail argues with Connor about Ford not using the desk, but he insists that he did. By the way, he did not. Fun fact, the desk was being shown in various exhibits from the Kennedy presidency until Jimmy Carter's presidency. So nobody used it. Nixon didn't use it. Ben interrupts the argument by saying, "Abigail, did you lose an earring?" And then she pulls off one of her earrings and asks Connor to help her find it, while Ben climbs under the desk after saying they wouldn't want an earring that doesn't belong to the First Lady to show up in the Oval Office. People are still a little on edge about that Monica Lewinsky thing. Anyway, Ben finds a sticky cigar on the floor. Oh, wait. Sorry. He starts trying to complete the same drawer number thing from the other desk while Abigail flirts with Connor and shows off the goods. Got an ass so nice you'll risk losing your job as curator of the White House. The tap, you know. By the way, they never went anywhere near the fucking Resolute desk with her earring or anything like that. So would not, I mean, I guess if it rolled across the entire room. Ben unlocks the same opening that the Olmec piece was stashed in, but it's missing from this desk, but does have a presidential symbol of some sort stamped inside of it. Thanks for adding 45 minutes to the film, movie. We just could have found the piece and we could have moved on. We don't need the Book of Secrets, the presidential book, all that shit. But here we go anyway. Ben takes a picture of the symbol while Abigail makes out with Connor to keep him distracted, and Ben puts the desk back together. Connor and Abigail go at it hot and heavy for a minute, and we cut to Ben cuckadiling it in the corner in his Matlock suit. Would have been awesome. Yeah. Outside, Ben delivers the bad news that the piece is gone, and Patrick says, "The brightest men in our country sat at that desk for over 100 years, so of course one of them found the map." Sure used to feel that way, didn't it?
I don't know. They picked the worst president to be the one to fucking find it. Coolidge. That drunk.
He was probably just playing with the drawers and was like, wait, these things
yeah, that's true. He was just drunk playing with the drawers.
I'm guessing Patrick didn't think that eventually there'd be a Diet Coke button installed into that desk.
Hey, I support that, except it'd be a Coke Zero.
Yeah, it's pretty useful.
They look at the symbol and can't figure it out, but for once in his bumbling existence, Riley knows something that these geniuses don't. He exclaims, "Did you none of you read my book?" Which, why would they? It's probably on par with those 20 self-published books about seducing Bigfoot that you can find on Amazon. He's devastated that not even his closest friends give two shit about his book, but he explains that the symbol represents the president's secret book. 56 minutes into the film, finally mentioning the Book of Secrets. He explains that the book is a collection of documents from presidents, by presidents, and for presidents' eyes only. which if that was true, Trump would have tweeted every page of that fucking thing. The book
he would have kept it and sold it.
Yeah, that's true. He would have sold it to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
God damn it.
The book supposedly has the info from the missing Watergate tapes, if we faked the moon landing, and the truth about Area 51. If they'd have read Riley's book, it would have told them all the secrets. It's right up there with Spread for Bigfoot, Nights with Sasquatch, and The Coup de Grace, Bigfoot Sommelier Butt Tasting by Chuck Tingle. All real books you can buy on Amazon right now.
No, Book Outlet. All books you can buy on Book Outlet.
No, don't bring Book Outlet.
No. They can only self-publish through Amazon.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him to sponsor us.
Chuck Tingle?
Affiliate link for Chuck Tingle books.
Oh my God, I want to do that so bad.
But you could just tweet him or email him.
Head over to Amazon.com. Check out Chuck Tingle.
Imagine making an ad for that.
He's got a lot of supernatural sex books. Riley says the symbol showed up on a document that was released under the Freedom of Information Act, and the only way to figure out what was on the plank is now in the president's secret book. Ben takes the info to Sandusky, who is watching some locker room footage reliving his Penn State glory days. Oh, sorry, wrong guy again. Sorry. Sandusky says he knows about the symbol since he read Riley's book.
The only person.
As well as The Mating Habits of Bigfoot and Why Women Want Him, which is also a real book written by a guy who was elected to the House of Representatives in 2018. Sandusky takes Ben for a stroll since the walls have ears, and the powers that be don't like him talking about Bigfoot erotica. By the way, Sandusky confirms that there is, in fact, a secret president book, which he knows about. Since he's a Freemason, I guess, and that's all it takes. How does he know about the book?
FBI.
FBI, okay. Everybody in the FBI knows about it. Fucking Castor Troy in there reading the president's secret book. Sandusky tells Ben only the current president knows where the book is kept, since each one chooses their own hiding place. Trump would have hid the book in the same spot Walter White hid his copy of Leaves of Grass that Gale gave him in Breaking Bad.
On the shitter?
On the shitter, right behind the toilet, right behind the gold toilet.
That the Secret Service can't use.
Yeah, you can't use that. Back at Ben's dad's, Ben says if he only had a few minutes alone with the president, he could find out where it's hidden. He says that before the Civil War, people said the United States are, and after they started saying the United States is, meaning under Lincoln, we became one nation. Patrick chimes in that Lincoln paid for it with his life, and Ben says so did Thomas Gates. Then Ben says,
How am I going to get him alone? I'm going to kidnap him. I'm going to kidnap the President of the United States.
This film's I'm Gonna Steal the Declaration of Independence. Boy, I bet it'll be real hard to kidnap the president. Actually, it'll be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. The Gates clan, wait, we probably shouldn't use clan since we're talking about the Confederacy. The Gates gang get together concocting a plan to pull off this impossible kidnapping by using a tunnel system under Mount Vernon, George Washington's former home. Which is kind of a callback to the first movie a little bit. Riley uses his seemingly unlimited hacking abilities to hack the White House press office, where the staff are busily trying to find a location for the president's upcoming birthday party. They managed to change the first location by convincing the staff that the hotel was used for Klan meetings in the 1800s. See, what did I say? Then we see that Riley is stopping incoming and outgoing calls to pretend to be different locations, yada, yada, yada. They rebook it to Mount Vernon. I'm not going through all that.
Get them all to book it to the rebook to the Four Seasons landscaping. Maybe that's how it happened.
We cut to the party at Mount Vernon where Randy Travis shows up and sings a song for a bit while the president watches on. I guess it was him or Hank Williams Jr.
They probably, well, never mind.
Quick fact, Randy Travis shot his cameo in One Day at 1 a.m.
Jeez.
What?
Randy, we need you. Come on over. 1 a.m. I don't get it.
Why would you film it at 1 a.m.?
I have no idea. Maybe that was just the only time Randy Travis was available.
Between tour dates or something?
Right after a concert, probably.
Maybe they were shooting the actual scenes with Nick and the president, and then they just had everything set up for later, and that's when they had Randy Travis. Anyways, meanwhile, Ben scuba dives in the Potomac River off a fishing boat. His dad is driving and swims his way past the Secret Service. No sweat. Then a 30-something-year-old Maryland cop calls a 70-year-old man son for some reason. He tells Patrick to leave the area. Son, I'm going to need you to leave. Like, you mean grandpa? Why? I don't know. Never mind. The lesson that I've learned from these two films is that breaking into ultra secure places is easy as hell. I'm surprised that the president isn't killed every fucking hour. Ben slips out of his scuba suit into a tuxedo and sneaks into the party with some of the most heavily guarded people in the world, like it's nothing, since he's holding a champagne bottle and tells the guard he's got no game tonight. Party must have had Doug Chesnick's team in charge.
They just thought he was part of the security detail.
Yeah.
Is that you, Doug? Dougie.
Dougie. Ben, an uninvited guest to the party, makes his way to the President of the United States without incident and almost runs into him while rudely cutting off a conversation the president is having with someone who is way more important than that Templar treasure guy. The president says Ben must have the Secret Service hopping since his family busted a cap in Lincoln's head. Quite the opposite, Mr. President. Yeah. Ben shows the president a map he has of a secret tunnel system under Mount Vernon and piques the president's interest since he was an architectural history major at Yale. Quick fact, there is no such degree at Yale. Yale does not offer an architectural history degree. The president wonders if an escape route on the map still exists, and Ben says, well, only one way to find out. Ben and the sitting president of the United States play Goonies together under Mount Vernon, while the president basically tells the Secret Service to fuck off. 10 seconds later, Ben opens a secret door and slams it shut with only he and the president on the other side, and the Secret Service panics. Just lost the first lady. Oh, wait. No,
yeah, I didn't think they had to call the local sheriff and tell them they lost the president. The sheriff put him on speaker dial and
puts him on speakerphone
and laughed with the rest of the cops.
You're telling me you lost the president again?
At Mount Vernon?
The president is taken aback by Ben locking him in this murder dungeon and asks what the hell he's doing. Ben tells him he needs to ask him a question and he knows he can't answer it unless they're alone. And then he says, have you had to interact with that representative who wrote Bigfoot erotica? He asks about the wood plank that was in the Resolute desk and tells him the map might help exonerate Thomas Gates. He says the whereabouts are now hidden in the president's book, which the president denies the existence of. Why would it be, like, couldn't it be anywhere else? Like, why would it be in the president's book?
Because that's where they keep all the secrets.
This is the most secretive thing that they put in that book. Doesn't make any sense. I found a wood plank that doesn't seem to lead to fucking anything. I don't know. Put it in the most secret book ever that's this big, that holds all the secrets of the American history throughout time. That's one of the most important things we could put in there. Ben says he'll show the president the way out, even if he doesn't give him the information, since everything he is because of his ancestors, and that Thomas Gates died trying to stop the Confederacy. He again asks about seeing the book, and the president asks, even if something like that exists, why would I give it to you? I have the same question. And Ben says, because it will probably lead them to the discovery of the greatest Native American treasure of all time, a huge piece of culture lost. You can give the history back to its descendants.
That's not what they're going to do with it.
Absolutely not. He recites the president's oath and calls him an honorable man, to which the president says, Gates, people don't believe that stuff anymore. And Gates says, they want to believe it. Which is true. I'd love to think that the president was an honorable man who wanted to do right by the Native American people, but deep down I know he'd rather have a Diet Coke. Ben leads the president out of the tunnel and shows him how to get to the highway. The president then decides, hey, I've known this guy 10 minutes. Why don't I hand over the nation's most closely guarded secrets? He tells Ben the book exists and it's in the Library of Congress in a secret vault. Then he says a bunch of letters and numbers that were out of my head before he even finished saying them. So I'm guessing Ben has got like a photogenic memory or Rain Man or something.
Both.
He tells Ben that everyone will know he kidnapped the president and he can't tell them why. So he'd better get ready to be the most wanted man in America. There's no way he could possibly waltz into the Library of Congress, then to a highly secure part no one is allowed to be in, or to travel to South Dakota from Washington, D.C. without any incident whatsoever. So I don't know how he's going to pull this one off. The president then sets up a sequel that, despite this movie making $450 million, we're still waiting for by asking Ben, page 47, just have a look at that. 16 years later, and we're still waiting to find out what's on page 47. Ben meets up with his dad, and they head to the Library of Congress.
Act 3, The Resolution.
Ben meets Abigail and Riley at the Library of Congress, where they just walk right in without any issues with security. And then to a section of the library, you need constant supervision and have to request each book individually in real life, but, whatever.
And also, it's still open. It seems like it's really late at night.
It's 24 hours,
It's
Yeah, it's
bustling.
open 24
Like, there's
hours.
still people wandering around and working.
24
hours, dude.
Went to the Library of Congress when I was in D.C., but the line was so long to get through security that I just decided to skip it. So they just waltzed right in.
You should have gone
Security
at
whatsoever.
1 in the morning, dude.
Yeah,
I guess.
after the Randy Travis
I could
concert.
see it. I could see it being open late because, because
it's
the nature
Easter?
of what it is. Like, people are hanging out. It's Easter.
It's
People
Easter
are hanging
weekend,
out
right?
doing research. Law stuff is always happening in the Library of Congress. Deep research. I don't know. I could
Also,
see it
she
being
works
open.
there, right? So I figured they
yeah,
just got
that's
in
true.
after hours. But there was
she
also
works at
people
the
there.
archives.
She works
Oh,
at the
the
archives. Yeah, not the
National
library.
Archives. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. But
She's
maybe
a
she get
government
passed.
employee, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I'm guessing
does
if you
have
work
her
at the
ID.
National Archives, you've got easy access to the Library of Congress. So
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely. Yeah.
Ben says XY stands for very, very special books, but an idiot off the street can just wander right up to them and start fondling the books with crusty, filthy hands if they time a door opening just right. I mean, to be fair, they only get into the spot where the Book of Secrets is stashed by using the code the president gave him, but I mean, still seems awfully easy. Again, it's convenient that there are no cameras anywhere in the Library of Congress. The president gets picked up by a truck driver who asks if he has to pay to spray. And only now do the authorities get notified that Ben Gates was the kidnapper.
But still, he's stuck into an ultra secure area of the Library of Congress. No cameras, no
cameras,
alarms, nothing.
no security. Ben quickly finds the location of the book, which seems to be missing, but he spots a compartment with a rotary combination lock, which opens a small compartment containing a much smaller book than you'd think, considering it has all of America's most secret information stashed in it. I mean, is Elvis still alive? Did Kennedy have Marilyn Monroe killed? Is Bigfoot real? And how much does he love tongue kissing? All that is contained in this little book.
Why? I don't understand why anybody is writing books about having sex with Bigfoot, dude. Why are there so many of them?
I don't know, but I love it. And I love that one of the authors is now a representative of the United States of America.
Yep.
Oh, fuck. Quick fact. The area of the Library of Congress in which Ben Gates finds the Book of Secrets does not exist as an area of bookshelves. These bookshelves were constructed as a prop library in a previously empty balcony of the library's main reading room and then dismantled after the scenes were shot. That kind of makes sense. It would be kind of weird to have like this super secret area
just
that
looking
can be
over
seen
the
from
main
the
area.
floor. Yeah. From the main floor.
What's up in there? Oh,
What is that? What's that guy doing?
nothing important, I'm sure.
Riley's over the moon about being right for once in his life. And since time is of the essence, Ben skips right past the juicy details in the book to the passage about the City of Gold.
And Riley was also right about the time zone or daylight saving time.
Oh, yeah.
Part in the first movie.
That's true.
So they copied that from the first movie too. That
Right,
one
he's-
moment of Riley being right.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm telling you, it's the exact same script, just rearranged a little bit.
Yep. Same beats. It says the Queen tried to help the South to divide the states and get cotton. How do you say it? Labula? Labula? Labola?
Labia.
Labia.
Labule.
Labule. Labule hid the treasure in the desk, blah, blah, blah. Finally, he spots a picture of the missing piece, which was destroyed by President Coolidge, and that Gutzon
Borglund.
And that Gutzon Borglund
Sounds like a
Borglum.
orc captain.
was commissioned to
Rings.
Huh?
Sounds like an orc captain from Lord of the Rings. Gutzon Borglum.
Was commissioned to destroy the mountain that would identify the location of the treasure, thus creating Mount Rushmore in the process. Suddenly, they hear sirens, and we see that every cop in Washington, D.C. is outside, but Ben tells Abigail and Riley, they're not coming for you, they're coming for me. And to get to the car, since the cops wouldn't possibly be looking for Ben's best friend and ex-girlfriend, police would never stop known associates when looking for someone who kidnapped the president of the United States. They just let him go. Ben takes a photo of the photo with his 2007 Motorola phone in full potato quality. It's nice to see he has a cell phone suddenly and the camera works, unlike when he was in Paris. Then he stashes the book back where he found it after taking a quick look at page 47. I bet it'd get tough for Ben to get out of this situation since the library is surrounded and hundreds of cops are pouring into every entrance and exit. Actually, it's like super easy. Ben sends the picture of the plank to his dad and tells him to get Emily to translate it. Suddenly, we see Wilkinson intercepting the picture and he heads out to the University of Maryland before Patrick gets there first. Nice of Wilkinson to, drop back into the movie. He's gone for like 2 hours. Yeah. It's like 2 hours of him not being in the fucking
busy
movie.
man.
Yeah. Ben escapes the FBI by hiding under a see-through grate with a light shining directly on him and then doing some Assassin's Creed wall scaling before meeting up with Abigail and Riley, who managed to escape the building by saying they were told to evacuate. Security guard gets suspicious when Abigail doesn't leave 5 seconds after starting her car, so she guns it and Ben hops into the back through the open hatch. Yeah, I do like that. He's just on this fucking see-through grate.
Yeah, like
Perfectly
anybody
lit.
with peripheral vision would have seen the dude.
And then the shots of him just like parkouring down the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's only the Library of Congress. There aren't any cameras anywhere.
They managed to evade the Secret Service, FBI, DC Metro, etc. by driving over a barricade before it finishes raising, which locks the cops inside. Wow, that was super easy. That reminds me of when every cop in Gotham got trapped in the sewers at the exact same time in Dark Knight Rises. Wilkinson stops by
like
to
seriously, like it's like a fucking 1,000 cops outside surrounding every exit, and they just drive over one barricade and they're gone. And they never, like, nobody gives chase. No helicopters are following them. Nothing.
No other cops anywhere in DC.
Yeah. There's no helicopter. Yeah,
We got to move on to the next thing.
What is this, January 6th? There were no cops, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Wilkinson stops by to threaten Ben's mom after having her translate the plank from the picture Ben sent to his dad. She pretends she doesn't know what it says, so Wilkinson tells her he'll kill her ex-husband unless she lies to Patrick about what's on the plank. I kind of feel like that would have been a win-win for her, though. She hates him, so like, all right.
Yeah, just get this guy out of the picture.
I just fucking kill him. I don't care.
This guy's nuts, and he abandoned his daughter. I hate him.
Now he's tweeting about the president and the election. Do the world a favor. She translates that it leads back to the Black Hills of South Dakota and says, find where the moon touches the earth and release the hummingbird, which is obviously not the message on the plank, but rather code for sex. Yeah.
He says, like, the hummingbird thing was like a dead giveaway, and I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Maybe there's something
from
more
a
to
deleted
that. Like,
scene, probably.
maybe they researched it and there is no word for hummingbird or something in that language. I don't know.
Patrick tries to tell his ex why he did the things he did that led to them breaking up, but she argues that one of them had to grow up and look after Angelina before she grows up to have an abandonment complex so severe she ends up adopting like half a dozen kids. She tells him to just go away. And Wilkinson pops up out of the closet. Wow, this movie was progressive. After Patrick leaves to tell her she did good. You did good. You did real good.
He was cucking in the closet, cuckadiling.
Tell me more about the hummingbird.
Tell me about that hummingbird.
Wilkinson does what every good movie villain does and reveals to Emily that there's one piece of information Ben doesn't have as to the location of the treasure. A letter from Queen Victoria containing the final clue. Then he burns the letter and tells her to get her coat. Over at Mount Rushmore, Wilkinson and his clan, clan feels appropriate this time, along with Emily, try to figure out the clues, and we see, naturally your cursor's blocking words.
Sorry.
Cat's just rewriting everything.
He is. I was trying to move my keyboard out of the way and my mouse because it's laying on it.
Along with Emily, try to figure out the clues, and we see that Riley, Abigail, and Ben, the most wanted man in America, managed to get halfway across the country without any issues and are waiting for Wilkinson to arrive. Ben tells Wilkinson that the FBI are on their way to arrest him, and he'll roll on Wilkinson if they don't work together. Emily tells Ben about the letter, but turns out he knows all about it thanks to the Book of Secrets, but doesn't know exactly what it says. Ben says Wilkinson can have all the treasure and credit for finding the City of Gold so long as it clears his family's name. And Riley is again perturbed at potentially being shafted out of a fortune he can blow on Enron stock. Ben says he wants Wilkinson to come along and not to bring any guns, which he reluctantly agrees to, while hundreds of flies buzz around his head. They climb up some stairs that in real life are off limits and lead to a vault Borglum built to explain what the hell Mount Rushmore is to future generations who might have lost the information at the time. Then they hike to a lake behind the heads, which definitely isn't actually behind the carvings. I do like the fucking flies. I feel like that must have been hell for everybody because they were everywhere.
I noticed that they were able to like when they do the close-ups, you don't see flies around them, but then they're wide. There's flies fucking everywhere.
There were flies in the close-ups too.
There were in the close-ups, yeah.
So it's just a couple of takes. They probably managed to not have flies everywhere. Just imagine how much they're getting swarmed.
Yeah.
By the way, I just found out that Borglum actually had a plan for that there's like a little room behind the heads. And he wanted to build a history of the United States so that people would know what the hell the Mount Rushmore heads were and stuff in case that gets lost to time. But it wasn't finished during his lifetime. They just recently finished it.
Oh, really?
But it's sealed and off limits completely. You can't even get to it. Kind of interesting, that he felt the need to do that. Maybe it's thinking of the Sphinx,
yeah.
wondering what the hell that's about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
All right, quick fact. The lake depicted to be immediately behind Mount Rushmore is Sylvan Lake, but it's actually located about 20 miles southwest of the monument.
Yeah, there's a road behind the heads. So there's nothing back there.
Ben demands to hear the clue from Queen Victoria's letter, which turns out to be the entrance shall only be revealed under a cloudless rain, which is pretty obvious. Just pour some water on the ground while it's sunny. But Wilkinson is just as stumped as Riley. Should we come back when it's raining? Fucking idiot.
He's
also
particularly stupid in this third act.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the secret also show up while it was raining, like under cloudy skies? Didn't seem like the sun had that much of an effect.
I think the implication is that you have to have sunlight on it to show the difference in color. Because if it's cloudy, then it's not going to shine as, like the rest of the rocks aren't going to be as bright.
I guess. Like turned into the Hobbit. That's some cryptic. To find the door to Durin's, or find Doran, whatever, the door to Erebor, to be there on Durin's day. The last light of Durin's day shines upon the door.
Yeah, what you
Wait
said.
a minute, that's today.
Well, Ben figures it out in seconds because, of course, he does. And then they all pour out their water, which seems dumb since they're miles from anything in the middle of summer. They find a marking of a noble bird on a rock in a matter of minutes, since the vague clues on the tablet led them to the exact rock formation they needed to, I guess.
They kind of skip over what else was on the other plank.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they were led to the lake. But it's never said at any point that they have to go to a lake. They just say, was it like fields of grass or whatever, and the Rushmore heads, the rock formation of the heads, but they never reveal the rest of the clues. So
yeah,
I guess, but that's a huge area around that little lake. And you're just pouring water over every fucking thing. Hopefully there was a map of the corner of the lake where that was or something. They find it in 40 seconds.
Yeah, with 3 bottles of water.
Yeah.
Abigail excitedly calls for everyone to check out the marking. Then Riley makes a dumb joke about joining hands and walking over the rocks while making some caw-caw noises, since he has the IQ of a Pop-Tart when it comes to anything not involving electronics.
I think we need to join hands and in a noble manner pass over the bird.
One doesn't need to see everyone.
Stand around.
That was one of the of all the fucking weird moments in this movie. That was by far the weirdest. What the fuck was that? It was so out of character too. That pulled me out of the movie at that moment. I was like, what the fuck? Spoiler alert.
Because they had to make it seem like there was any kind of moment of not knowing what exactly to do in the next.
There's a hole. Put your hand in the hole. I've seen enough movies.
So fucking easy to figure out.
I've been to enough doctor
The heart of the
appointments.
warrior.
When there's a hole, you put things in it.
That's what I've learned from every bathroom stall I've ever been to.
Wilkinson gives them the next clue, which is surrender your hand to the heart of the warrior, which obviously means stick your hand into the opening in the bird's chest. So Ben jams his hand in right away, where he quickly discovers a rattlesnake den. Wait, no. He jokes about being in pain for a second and then giggles before pulling a lever, which reveals a passageway. They rush into the passage like they're trying to escape a tornado for some reason, only to find an entryway filled with the Mesoamerican carvings.
I feel like there had to be something where a helicopter was buzzing over or something that was cut.
Yeah.
Because they're frantically trying to get into the opening.
Yeah, they're getting there quick.
Why? Why are you running to get in there? I don't get it.
Because they're all jazzed up, dude.
Yeah. So excited.
Riley touches a rope and releases a counterweight, which causes a door to block their only exit, since he's an idiot. And we need an excuse for Ben to show Abigail he loves her, since he grabs her and protects her from all the shit falling around them.
While Riley summons a goblin horde in a Balrog from the depths of Moria.
Fool of the Took.
Sean Bean pops up again. They have a cave troll. My God, Ian, how'd you get here?
Fuck. Thought you were in jail.
Riley says, sorry, since he's endangered their lives for like the 37th time in these films. And Emily blames Patrick since she's a two-note character who only exists to translate things and be a bitch to her ex-husband. Wilkinson says there's only one way out of here now. Forward.
which turns into like a recurring weird thing at the end of this. Like, okay, forward. And then later on, it's like, not forward, down.
And they all start chanting, one way out, one way out.
They head down a tunnel which is full of more carvings, and Emily's over the moon since the relics are all beautifully preserved. Now, second time now, they have discovered items that will fundamentally change our understandings of history and alter the course of human existence. But I bet Riley still won't be able to hawk his book to the local Goodwill. Riley spots a little golden man on the wall and triggers another booby trap that sends he, Ben, Abigail, and Wilkerson below and trapping Emily and Patrick above because, well, he's got the brain of a sea urchin. The trap the four of them land on turns out to be a huge stone slab on a single point in the middle, so they have to work together to counterbalance the platform to each individually reach a ladder.
I think that's one of the puzzles in Legends of the Hidden Temple. They have the kids do.
Yeah.
Literally make a hidden temple joke in this.
It's because this whole thing turns into a fucking funhouse for some reason.
Yeah. Wilkinson decides he should go first so the others don't leave him to die, and Ben agrees. Ben, Riley, and Abigail work together to get Wilkinson up, and he finds a knife in some skeleton's throat. He takes the knife, and we cut to Emily and Patrick crawling through a tunnel where Emily breaks down and worry about her son, but Patrick comforts her by spouting off about election fraud or something.
Don't worry. He'll win in 2024. It'll be good.
They can't steal the presidency twice.
God answered our prayers when he was elected. Oh, God.
Abigail says one person is going to have to stay behind, and Riley volunteers since he knows he's the weakest link in the chain by a huge margin. Abigail goes next and gets pulled up by Wilkerson after a fun fake out of him abandoning them. It's fucking pointless. That was dumb. Just adding more time to this movie. The structure holding the platform starts falling apart, and Ben decides to sacrifice himself for Riley, who jumps at the opportunity, literally, and makes it to the ladder. Abigail spots a statue and decides to use it as a counterbalance to offset Ben's weight. He jumps to the ladder in the nick of time, and the four of them head to the next level. The next level, escape the curse of the temple. How about that? A board game reference just for you, Nigel. They make their way to a huge opening, and Ben spots
Trough.
a trough.
Yeah,
Trough?
That's how you spell that.
Really?
Yes.
I just learned today I've never read the word trough. Jesus. Yeah, I'm not even joking. They make their way to a huge opening, and Ben spots a trough full of oil and lights it with a flare. Wait. You arrive in a dark room. He uses a torch to light a trough of oil that still burns despite sitting there for centuries, and the fire reveals a huge room filled with to the brim with treasure, the likes of which the world has never seen. Seriously? Like, where have I seen this done before? Oh, wait. That's right. The last fucking movie. And every other treasure hunting movie.
Except these troughs only go like 20 feet. They just end
Yeah.
and somehow light up the whole cavern.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to be fair, the room is filled with water at this point. So they all work together to spin a wheel, which causes the water to empty from the room, which then reveals the treasure. So it's not exactly the same.
It's not exactly the same. See,
a little bit the same.
we really tried this time.
Yeah. They put a little extra effort in. While all this is going on, Patrick plays Geriatric Jones, swinging on a rope over a deep canyon with Emily, and they make out a bit. These life or death treasure dungeons really bring out the romance, don't they?
You think that Patrick and Emily are the purple parrots and Ben and Riley are the silver monkeys and I can't remember the other names.
Abigail and Wilkinson.
Abigail and Wilkinson are the what is it, orange iguanas?
Yes. Back with the others, they head down a passageway and arrive at the lost city of gold, just as Patrick and Emily arrive in the very same spot. They all marvel at the CGI city, and Wilkinson apologizes for smearing Thomas Gates' name and admits he only did it to get Ben's help in finding the treasure. He says this was his chance to put the Wilkinson family name in the history books and be remembered. I don't know. I thought that viral video was a good way to get their name in the history books. Patrick can't forget it.
What? A
Wilkinson's family restaurant.
Yeah.
That's right.
You've been singing the damn song this whole time.
We feast on meats, assorted treats.
Now might be a good time to point out that, quick fact, gold was barely or completely unknown to the ancient Olmec culture. Of course, future cultures found it and used it, but it was like a couple hundred years later. So once again, just throwing history out the fucking window. Suddenly, the chamber springs a leak and starts to fill up with water again. Emily spots a Rosetta Stone of some sorts for pre-Columbian language that will rewrite history. If this really is the find of a century, or the find of the last 3 years.
They found the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah, now they found this pre-Columbian Rosetta Stone. Riley stashes a gold turd from stolen worth of gold in his backpack, and suddenly they hear all the passages break open and water spills in at an incredible rate, rapidly filling the chamber. Quick fact, while in the city of gold, Riley handles a very large gold brick with one hand and easily places it in the bag. A gold brick as large as that one pictured would weigh in the neighborhood of, 150 pounds and would require 2 or more people to lift.
Hopefully he doesn't need to swim soon.
God damn it.
I mean, it's the exact same trope as stolen. Like,
Yeah.
gold is heavy.
Yeah. I would, and that would be really hard. You can lift 150 pounds by yourself, but it'd be very hard to pick that particular piece up.
Riley Poole pick up 100?
Riley Poole can't lift 30 pounds of
not drown in the ensuing
coffee.
flood they have to
That's
go
another
through.
thing, though.
Right
The
after
moment you
this.
get in the water, that thing's gonna sink you to the fucking floor. And I wish it had. If that's how this fucking movie had ended, I would give this a 10 out of 10. Spoiler alert, it doesn't, so I don't.
I don't know. Is he still wearing the backpack? I feel like he just left it there.
I think he ditches it. I don't remember him carrying it with him, which is probably smart because he would have died.
Oh man, but they missed some great idea or a great opportunity for some comedy where he like tries to grab the bag and then goes, "Oh, all the money!" And then has to save his life instead of bringing the gold. Which you see in every fucking movie that has something going on with a treasure hoard.
Oh fuck!
I think you found the exact dialogue they were going to use.
That's a scene that was left on the editor's floor.
Oh, the money!
But how will we know that Riley just really cares about money?
I could have bought more Dogecoin with that. Patrick
He's
chucks
been
a dollar.
humbled by the IRS. You know, he's not quite as.
He's been humbled by the IRS.
Yeah, imagine how much tax you have to pay on a 150-pound chunk of gold.
Yeah, where'd you find this, Riley?
Patrick chucks a dollar in the water and figures out the direction of the current, which would have probably been obvious without the dollar, but whatever.
It goes down.
It's going down.
They discover a central drain underneath them and another wheel, which opens a doorway out to a drainage tunnel. Patrick says they need to get to the other side and close the door or they'll all drown, but Wilkinson lets go of the wheel, causing the door to slam shut.
How do they know it's not just draining into an aquifer where they're just going to die a mile underground in an underground lake?
Because they read the script. They realize one person has to stay behind to keep the door open, and Wilkinson starts punching everyone in the face before pulling out the knife he found earlier and putting it to Abigail's throat. Ben volunteers to stay behind, and Wilkinson says he and Ben will open the door together, and he's going to leave with them while Ben stays behind to drown. Quick fact. Script originally called for Mitch Wilkinson to stab Patrick Gates while they escape from the flooding Gold City. This was taken out in post-production because it made the character cross a line. Okay, that producer and director John Turteltaub felt ought not be crossed. This is why there are almost no shots of Patrick Gates remaining in this scene. He was bleeding, and that was hard to hide. His sweater in the next scene had been ripped from the stabbing, and they were able to unrip his shirt with CGI.
I do feel like it would have been pushing a boundary that probably shouldn't have been pushed, but at the same time, it's like he's pretty much a horrible person. I mean, he's going to leave Ben to drown.
Right.
They shot at him.
Yeah.
They tried killing him in Paris. I don't understand. Like, I don't know. Whatever.
No, in London.
Was it London? Yeah. Sorry, London. Yeah, London. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
certain lines you can't cross, man.
I guess it would have been awesome.
He did try to put
it is
the
a
knife
PG
to,
movie, so
yeah, I guess that's true. Put the knife to Abigail's throat, though. So
yeah,
there's that.
Ben tells Abigail to promise to get his parents to safety, which was like a really awkward. I hate when they do that when they write the same line in twice. You got to get my parents out of here. You got to get my parents out of here. It's fucking awkward. No actor could pull off doing the same line twice.
Well, maybe they're just doing two different reads and then the editor just leaves them both in.
I mean, one actor could pull it off if he said boo-hoo twice in a row.
Oh, true. I stand corrected. Anyways, Ben tells Abigail to promise to get his parents to safety, and they share a very sexy look. I know I was turned on. Ben and Wilkinson open the door with the wheel, allowing Emily, Patrick, Riley, and Abigail to get out before Wilkinson can get through. Then a big golden statue lands on the wheel, sending Ben flying and the stone door down again onto Ben. But I guess the thousands of pounds this door would be putting on him didn't hurt him at all.
This was a very confusing scene. Like everything is just kind of like, what happened? How did you?
And now it's like just Wilkinson holding it.
Yeah.
Ben doesn't get swept under.
Yeah. It makes sense now why it was so confusing because they were editing around him having been stabbed.
Yeah.
But watching it, I was like, this is like really awkward. Like it's cut very awkwardly. Doesn't really make sense based off of what's going on. But now I know why. They were hiding him.
Just really wants that microphone, man. Say boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo.
Say munt.
Say munt.
Boo-hoo. Sometimes you can get her to copy. Hey, munt. Hey, munt.
Nope, she's not having
Nope.
it.
She can't. I mean,
Bridge
even
too
month,
far.
like that's too. Yeah, that's too far.
He tells Wilkinson if he remains trapped in the door, they'll all drown. Wilkinson says if he lets Ben out, Ben will be washed away in the current, so Wilkinson will die no matter what. Which doesn't happen, but whatever.
He just ends up drowning horribly.
Yeah, it's
I don't know why we needed that one shot of him like in the little window of air. Like, oh my god!
They really cut out the stabbing, but then they leave in this horrible image of him being crushed and drowned.
Which is funny because like we cut to them all just having a great time.
Yeah, they all slap each other's backs. We did it again. Wilkinson says,
I found the city of gold! I found it! And no one will ever know!
Wilkinson says he'll sacrifice himself, but asks Ben to tell the world he found the treasure. He opens the door and Ben swims under it. The door closes again and we watch as Wilkinson drowns while the Gates gang celebrates not being dead on the other side.
Didn't Ed Harris almost drown filming The Abyss with James Cameron?
Yep. This is probably very triggering for you.
Yeah.
Punch James Cameron in the face after that or something.
Yeah.
Ben calls Sandusky.
Do it. It'll be funny. We'll drown him again in this movie. It'll be great.
Ben calls Sandusky, who's hanging out on Epstein Island. No, sorry. God, I was wrong guy again. He calls Sadusky on his cell phone, which miraculously still works despite being underwater for like, I don't know, the last 20 to 72 minutes of this fucking movie.
Hey, they made the tech really hardy in 2007.
Yeah, that's true. The old Motorola phones are indestructible, man.
Yeah, that is true. He tells Sadusky he has the proof to exonerate his great-great-grandpa and says they found the city of gold. Sadusky says it doesn't matter.
Of gold. I found the city of gold, and no one will ever know. Sorry. That's how he says it on the phone.
Yeah. Sadusky says it doesn't matter since Ben committed a federal crime, and thus we see Ben and his crew being led to a hangar by armed guards. In the hangar, we see that the president took a break from his busy schedule to fly to South Dakota just in case Ben found what he was looking for, I guess.
Why is he there, dude?
I mean, to be fair, the previous president we had spent the majority of his term golfing, so I feel like this is pretty possible.
True. Maybe there's a good golf course in Rapid City right next to that prom.
I mean, it kind of makes sense. Sounds like he was a history buff and he was sort of invested in what Ben was doing. So he went out there on the off chance that Ben figured it out.
I assume that Ben had called Sadusky and told him like what was happening and that he was going to be discovering this place. He felt like he was pretty guaranteed he was going to find the city of gold. And that's why like Sadusky ended up telling the president. The president was like, oh shit, he found it? Okay, let's go.
The president changes his story and says Ben and he were just exploring each other's tunnels. No. I mean a hidden tunnel, and the door accidentally closed and Ben saved his life. The president says Ben has brought honor to his country and to his family and gives Ben a copy of tomorrow's paper, which reads, Thomas Gates proved a Civil War hero, to which Ben thanks him. He tells them they'll all get credit for the find, and Ben makes sure Mitch Wilkinson gets credit too. Not all the credit like he asked with his dying breath, just one of a sixth share of the credit. I think it's fair.
I found the city of gold.
I mean,
1/6. Who's going to fucking remember this guy anyway?
I mean, he's all over all those cameras in London trying to shoot this guy and doing a high-speed chase. So
there are no cameras in London.
Yeah, there's no cameras.
High-speed traffic light.
Yeah. Then the president asked Ben if he had a chance to look at page 47, and Ben gives him a smirk since it turns out all that was on page 47 was a picture of the president goatsing himself while smiling into the camera.
Oh my god, there's so much internet lore in this episode.
Yeah, there is.
That'd be so fucking funny. That's funny. That's on page 47.
I left you a little surprise on page 47. Let's see if you.
Huh?
Well, let's just see if you notice it.
He gives him the same look that he gave Elijah Wood in The Trust. Oh, that? You found it? Ben says he can help the president with what was on page 47 and says the information is life-altering. But that tale will be held up in development hell for the rest of time. We see Emily and Patrick overseeing the preservation of the City of Gold sometime later after it was drained of water, where Emily is bitching at everyone to be careful. We cut to nighttime at the viewing area for Mount Rushmore, where some girl recognizes Riley, and he thinks she has mistaken him for Ben again. But the girl knows exactly who he is and asks him to sign a copy of his book for her, and Riley makes a little pool in his pants. Ben and Abigail enjoy some cafeteria food, and Abigail asks about the Boston tea tables Ben promised her at the beginning of the film 9,000 scenes ago. She says he can keep them since she wants him to move back in with her, and he says, no, you use the word so too much. Then they have a flirty squabble where she asks him to unlock her puzzle box, and they make out as fireworks go off above Mount Rushmore. We cut to Riley walking home where he spots his Ferrari back outside. He finds an envelope on the window from the president with the keys in it and a note that says tax-free. Riley hops in the car, fires it up, and immediately slams it into a parked car behind him. Oh, that Riley, what a little scamp. The end.